4 days ago, someone opened a door that had been sealed for 3,000 years. Behind it, 22 coffins, 22 mummies, and 8 papyrus scrolls that no living human being has ever read. Not a single word. Not one line. 3,000 years of complete darkness and complete silence. And whatever is written inside those scrolls, as of this moment, nobody knows. This is not a story about what was found. This is a story about what has not been read yet. And why that might be the most important thing to happen in archaeology in a generation. The tomb sits in a hillside called Sheikh Abd el-Qurna on the west bank of the Nile, directly across the water from the city of Luxor in southern Egypt. You can see this hillside from hotel balconies. Tourists photograph it every single day. It has been sitting there in plain sight, in the middle of one of the most heavily studied archaeological landscapes on Earth, for 3,000 years. The entrance was not hidden. It was not buried under debris or sealed by a rockfall or invisible to the trained eye. It was catalogued. It had a number. It existed in the official registry of Egyptian tombs maintained by the Supreme Council of Antiquities. It just had not been opened. Until April 28, 2026. 4 days ago. What the team found inside belongs to a man named Sheikh an official of the 18th dynasty, the same dynasty that produced Tutankhamun, Hatshepsut, and the most powerful pharaohs the ancient world ever created. He lived approximately 3,400 years ago at the absolute peak of Egyptian imperial power, when the empire stretched from modern Sudan to modern Syria and the wealth flowing into Thebes, what we now call Luxor, was beyond anything civilization had seen before. The 22 people buried with him were not random. They were not servants. They were not slaves. They were the chanters of Ammonius, a specific, privileged class of temple musicians and ritual singers who served the god Ammonius at the Karnak Temple complex. Men and women whose entire lives were given to sacred ceremony. Who had access to the inner sanctuaries of the most powerful religious institution in the ancient world. Who knew things that ordinary Egyptians were simply not permitted to know. Their coffins reflect exactly who they were. Painted in extraordinary detail, gold, turquoise, deep red, colors that have survived 3,000 years of total darkness without fading. Columns of hieroglyphs running down each side, identifying each person. Their name. Their title. Their god. Their eternity arranged with the same precision they brought to their lives. And the 8 scrolls. Sealed. Sitting in the dark for 3,000 years. Waiting. Here is what we know about the chanters of Ammonius. And here is why those scrolls matter. During the third intermediate period of Egyptian history, the era these burials date to, the priesthood of Ammonius at Karnak was not simply a religious institution. It was a political power that rivaled the pharaohs themselves. The high priests of Ammonius at certain points held more practical authority over Egypt than the kings who nominally ruled it. The temple complex at Karnak was the wealthiest institution in the ancient world. Its priests controlled land, controlled grain, controlled access to the divine, and in a civilization that made no distinction between religion and governance, that meant they controlled everything. The chanters served this institution directly. They were insiders. They participated in ceremonies that the historical record describes only in fragments. They sang the hymns that were believed to maintain cosmic order, that literally, in the Egyptian worldview, kept the sun rising every morning and the Nile flooding every year. Their music was not entertainment. It was technology. Sacred technology that the Egyptian state depended on. Which means the scrolls buried with them may contain that technology. Sacred texts. Ritual instructions. The specific words and melodies used in ceremonies that no outsider was permitted to witness. Medical knowledge encoded in religious formula. Astronomical data hidden inside hymns. The private theology of a class of specialists who spent their lives at the exact intersection of political power and divine mystery. We do not know. Because nobody has read them yet. 8 sealed papyrus scrolls from the third intermediate period of ancient Egypt. To understand how rare this is, consider what usually survives from the ancient world. Most papyrus found in Egypt is fragmentary. Torn. Burned. Eaten by insects. Dissolved by rare episodes of moisture in an otherwise dry climate. The organic record of 3,000 years of human civilization in the Nile Valley has been almost entirely destroyed by time. What survives is the exception, not the rule. These 8 scrolls survived inside a sealed tomb, inside a sealed hillside, in the driest inhabited landscape on Earth. They have been sitting in near-perfect preservation conditions for 30 centuries. The ink on those scrolls, made from carbon black and mineral pigments mixed with gum arabic, is chemically stable. The papyrus itself, made from the pith of the Cyperus papyrus plant that grew along the Nile, is structurally intact. The words written on those scrolls 3,000 years ago are still there. They are readable. The team working on them right now is using infrared imaging, multispectral photography, and micro-CT scanning to read the surface of the papyrus before any physical unrolling takes place. Because the unrolling is irreversible. A papyrus scroll that has been sealed for 3,000 years has dried into a specific shape. Opening it too quickly, in the wrong humidity conditions, with the wrong technique, destroys it. The ink cracks and falls away. The papyrus tears along fold lines that have become structural fractures over 3 millennia. They are working slowly. Deliberately. With the understanding that whatever is in those scrolls has survived this long precisely because it has been left alone. And that the moment they disturb that equilibrium, they have one chance to get it right. Dr. Zahi Hawass announced this discovery personally. That detail matters. Zahi Hawass is the most recognizable figure in Egyptian archaeology. He has been excavating significant sites for 50 years. He has announced major discoveries before: the Valley of the Golden Mummies, the tomb of the builders of the Great Pyramid, finds that reshaped our understanding of ancient Egypt. He does not personally announce minor discoveries. He does not stand in front of cameras for routine finds. When Zahi Hawass is standing there when the world finds out, it is because the discovery is significant enough that he wants to be associated with it. 22 painted coffins. 22 mummies. 8 sealed papyri. A tomb belonging to an official of the 18th dynasty containing the burials of sacred musicians who served the most powerful religious institution in the ancient world. This is not routine. The question that every Egyptologist working today is asking right now is the same question. What is in those scrolls? It could be the Book of the Dead, the collection of spells and instructions that guided the deceased through the underworld. That would be significant. A complete, sealed copy of the Book of the Dead from the Third Intermediate Period, still in its original condition, would be an extraordinary find. It could be something rarer. Hymns to Ammonius not previously documented. Ritual instructions specific to the chanters. Medical texts. Administrative records. A private letter. Something completely unexpected that nobody has theorized about because nobody has read it yet. It could be something that changes the picture. Egyptian history is remarkably well documented compared to most ancient civilizations. But there are gaps. The Third Intermediate Period, when these people lived and died, is one of the least understood eras in all of Egyptian history. Political fragmentation, competing power centers, a priesthood that was effectively running a parallel state, the historical record for this period is full of questions that the existing texts have not answered. 8 sealed scrolls from this exact period could answer some of those questions. Or they could ask entirely new ones. 4 days ago, a door was opened in the hillside above the Nile. Behind it, 22 faces painted on wood, looking at a ceiling they had been looking at for 3,000 years. 8 scrolls that contain words no living person has ever read. A silence so complete and so long that when the archaeologists entered, they were the first human beings to breathe that air since the Third Intermediate Period of ancient Egypt. The scrolls are in a laboratory right now. The team is working. The words are there. What they say, nobody knows. Not yet.